double sight stone, keep wards
You have
up.
a TP Scion. Like, you have ways to deal with a split push. Fusion was like, we picked the team fight comp. We have to team fight. We have to group as 5 and force something. They forced it at the wrong time. Even in that situation where you could do Baron, send somebody to deal with Seraph, you sweep Baron, and you force them to check it.
Yeah.
You don't do the Baron unless you know you can 100% do it. Because even though it wasn't stolen, the fight cost them the game. It wasn't it just being flat out stolen.
No. Baron didn't even go down in that fight. It was the fact that it was a team fight where they were stuck in Baron Pit, and there was enough hard engage with Zach Lulu that it was a hard kind of situation. Now, Zach right away picked up by Fusion, of course, the Juani ban, no surprise. Italy ban comes through, which of course makes a whole bunch of sense.
Exactly the same from TDK, same bans as last time. Now they drop the Morgana for the Nidalee, which I think is definitely the right choice.
Absolutely.
And then they first pick the Zac away as the tanky jungler. You talked about Nintendo. He's basically Sejuani or bust. Now he's taking away another tank jungler from Kez. So what else does Kez have in his champion pool besides that? Because I think he wants to go with something tanky. You want to go with something tanky in this meta at the moment. You could go for a Nautilus. But okay. Yeah, that's right.
Drop, right.
That was something that they had banned previously because Smoothie, actually,
Trance and Smoothie both play it really well.
They both play it really well, yeah.
But Fusion not wanting to deal with a champion at all, not wanting to have to pick it early on.
We haven't actually seen a Morgana from Trance this season.
Really? We haven't? Oh, I'm actually surprised. I would have thought he's a very good
There
Morgana.
was a Morgana player who played pretty much every game. Body Drop.
Body Drop was one. Okay, yes, you're right. It might just have been that one-sided ban, which surprised me then that they first picked the Morgana so early on, but apparently important. Yeah, so Kez, an old-school Evelyn player.
That's last year.
Yeah. No, Evelyn had buffs in 5-6, though.
Evelyn had buffs in 5-6.
Stealth timer at higher ranks is very short.
Stays the same, goes down from 6 all the way to 3 on the restealth time, and then the W changes. You no longer get stacking movement speed per hit. It lowers
this patch?
It lowers the cooldown on your W, your Dark Frenzy.
Yeah.
Every time you hit a spell hit.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, it's on spell hit, your E counts as 2 hits, your Q, your hate spikes goes through multiple people, so you're getting multiple seconds off of those.
Yeah. So we'll see what Kez can do with this Evelyn here down in Game 3. This game determines whether or not you go to the Challenger Finals and whether or not you auto-qualify for at least the promotion tournament here.
And those finals are live in person.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a close one
Next week, April 8th, at lolesports.com/tickets.
Indeed. Is it? Yeah, sorry, the channel's around. I was talking about promotion tournament, which is later on in April, but no.
Yeah.
Lulu does come through here, Fusion realizing that Kyle's Lulu was pretty good. They already know the Morgana's down in the bottom lane. They assume Seraph and Kyle won't play it, so the immediate Leona pickup here for Trance. Played Alistar before, seems to want to go back to hard engage.
They're taking a lot of the picks away here. Fusion are kind of drafting the same comp that TDK had last game, save for the Janna so far. They're like, hey, it worked in their hands, but it didn't work in the laning phase, is the thing.
That's true. Well, Fusion just tends to be better in laning overall, and a lot of it was the fact they outplayed the lane swap. That even though TDK had swapped back and got a pickaxe lead, Niantic was able to recall safely for a BF sword. That was actually part of the reason they were able to do well in the second half of the laning phase, was a 25 attack damage increase. Luigi G getting Vayne for himself, though. Have not seen him play this champion at all in the Challenger Series, so they want this. Kyle, though, back on Xerath to play wave clear duty, which you need when you get Vayne, by the way. There's no wave clear otherwise. So TDK able to play a late game, relying on Vayne damage.
You usually need like a tank line and a lot of peel for a Vayne.
Well, Seraph,
so far,
you have a Morgana.
Or
and you have an Evelyn, both of which are pretty good sort of zoning champions.
Yeah, when you have a Vayne, you need either protection for her, or like tank wall, or you need
so much engage.
So much engage and a ton of threats.
Yep.
Things that people are like, we can't go after the Vayne because we have to deal with this guy first.
If you chase Vayne around the map, stealthing and condemning you away and tumbling out, you just die to everyone else. So maybe the case here for TDK. Now, Fusion hovering on Zed. I actually don't like this. I actually like playing Vayne into Zed. The only AD carry I like facing Zed with, because it's so easy to outplay him. As soon as he ults in on you, you stealth tumble. He can't hit you with a Q or an auto attack or Ruin King, and he has to ult back out, and you can still get to be Vayne. So,
you can buffer your E on him too.
You can, unless he ults you, then it's pretty much impossible.
But if he ults you, you ulti tumble, and then you condemn him back because his shadow, his last one is previously back. Like he would have to shadow flash after you.
Yeah, I mean he disengages and pops.
And you get your own Blade Root.
Exactly. Like it's just really good to be Vayne here overall. Last few picks coming in though, Fusion locks in their lineup, and Neon Tanto gets his own mid-range hyper carry. Gets Callista here on 5.6. So Callista Leona, really good at forcing an engage. You ult her in. Zack's there for engage as well. Fusion picking a very standard hard engage comp. Chunky Fresh gets his Lulu back as well. The Aurelia ban puts him on Lulu, that's fine. Fusion's lineup looks pretty decent, and TDK pick up finally a Kennen for Seraph. So you talked about having some peel, having some threat. How about both?
Yeah, he's had 3 Kennen games. He's 2-1 with it this season. And actually, no, he didn't play Kennen. It was RF Legendary who played Kennen. So his one game of Kennen that we've seen him on was against Fusion, and he went 1-3-1.
Yeah, they lost that one.
Back in week 3. So they've seen this Kennen before on Fusion's side, and you can knock him out with the Zac. You could get him out of the fight. You can knock him up, save somebody inside. You can turn him into a cute little critter.
No, that's true.
Hide him backwards. Seraph's going to have to flank very well, but his strong point is that he has good TP flanks.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing to keep in mind, though. TDK is not the team that has to engage. They've got the Xerath. They've got the team that if you sit back and play battle lines, Xerath wins that. Yeah. You got to go in on him. Fusion have the engage tools, but TDK has the counter-engage tools. So I think it's going to be more contentious than the first time around.
But it's kind of the same formula, though.
Yeah?
Poke, disengage for TDK. Fusion, hard engage, start the fights.
I would posit that TDK actually have counter engage now, though, whereas before they didn't have any tools for this one. I think it's actually a much better comp than Game 1. But we'll have to see, guys. We're getting ourselves into the Rift. Fusion once again playing a hard engage, and up till now, they've always won the laning phases. We'll see if they can do it again in Game 3. TDK showing Vayne, but otherwise a fairly tried and true set of champions for them. I would say.
Yeah.
I would say this is not an unfamiliar style for TDK.
Not at all. Poking champion. Louis GG, though, him on that Vayne is something that I want to keep an eye on because he seems to be a big part of this team comp, and he hasn't had a great season, but he did step up in their last few games. His Graves layering damage at the right time, his Ezreal being able to poke, having the best scoreline on his team in Game 1, despite it being a loss. Now they're putting even more on his shoulders as one of the biggest damage sources on this team, and especially being one of the shortest range damage sources on his team.
That's true.
Without a frontline, without a big frontliner.
No, you're right. There's really no tanks here in the entire game for TDK. It's 2 tanks for Fusion, and Lulu can help in a pinch.
Oh, that's something I do want to keep an eye on, because this is probably going to be a Cinder Hulk Evelynn.
That's a good point.
You're most likely not going to see a Magus enchant, and it's something about Evelynn that's kind of bugged me for a little bit, because she's this sleek, sexy, stealthy bruiser.
Yep.
She's not going to assassinate somebody. It's kind of weird because she's going to come out of nowhere early game
with a Sunfire Cape.
Exactly. Beat people, and she's going to have a Sunfire Cape. It's like hearkening back to the days of Sunfire Cape Evelynn. But she's very deceptive because she gets tankier than you would expect.
Yep.
Her first clear is a little rough, but she can gank off the level 2 straight through the lane if somebody overextends or starts pushing. Yep. She can punish those types of moves. But she can also get tanky in the late game, be this peel champion. And now that she has more access to her W, like people are like, W kind of quote-unquote buff was not a real buff because W resets on kills. But in teamfights where kills are coming very scarcely, she gets to skitter around the fight more frequently, more often.
Yeah, and you consider there's a couple of slows to worry about in this lineup overall. Glitterlance, a pretty big deal. Can really hurt Evelynn. The Rend, if we see a Hurricane build from the Intanso, pretty likely to hit him as well. So cleansing out of those could be a very big deal. Now let's see our lane matchups here. 2-on-2 in the bottom lane. A hard leash came in from TDK.
Trance got all the experience from the Gromp, or the Krugs. So he's level 2 immediately, and Niantanso has nothing. But this gives him the threat. This gives him the threat of a Zenith Blade, though.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you that level 2 edge where, like, hey, by the way, you know how Leona's not normally scary? Leona's scary. Deal with it. And that means that you can see how far back TDK are playing. They know they're only a few minions away. Actually, it's not even about the minions. They just know they can be fought at any time.
They didn't push it at all. They didn't force it because it's a minion stack, right? You take so much minion damage early on if you dive.
No, but I actually like that adaptation with the Leona of putting the XP on the Leona, having her kill the big one. I think it's very nice.
I think you have to kill both for level 2.
I think, yeah, she shared one, because she only had one CS, so she didn't kill them both. And then it was like 1 or 2 melees to get the level, basically. It didn't take her much to do it, and that seemed pretty safe.
No, she walked back. She walked into lane and got 2 very quickly off of leeching experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, with 1 CS, you can't get level 2.
Yeah. Yes.
Not on
unless
anyway.
Unless you're Guam.
Yeah. Okay, so mystery solved. Moving on to laning.
We did it!
We did it! Yay! Vayne vs. Kalista is a matchup I don't see very much, though, so I don't know how that fight goes on in the 1v1, if it ever does happen here.
Lots of rolling, lots of jumping.
Yeah, acrobatic lane for sure. From the Summer Olympics here.
It's going to come down to True Silver Bolt stacks versus the stacks of Rend.
Who can do the math in their head of who's going to die first? It's going to be fun. All right. So, equal lanes otherwise, though. 6 CS plus or minus throughout the various lanes. Nintendude does use Smite to kill Scuttler, interestingly. Just going to recall back. He is maxing E as standard.
So if you tumble as Vayne,
yeah,
as an auto attack, ultimate tumble, as an auto attack from Kalista's coming at you, does it fizzle because of her passive?
Pretty sure it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually a lot of ways to dodge Kalista damage. Can be very interesting indeed. Kez will get that pretty easily. Is going for the Trailblazer. You talked about Evelyn's jungles being fairly difficult, so gets an item to help that. Nintendude feels safe as Zac, so he gets Stalker Saber for the Chilling Smite.
Yeah, you don't really need Trailblazer at all. His wave clear, or I guess his jungle clear is already really good. He's really healthy, and he just recovers all the time. Also, doesn't make use of the mana restore.
Yeah. Health restore not as big either, since he gets that missing health heal essentially with how his passive and such work. Seraph is doing a really good job against Chunky Fresh. Gets a stun. Wow, meaningful damage there. Yeah.
Oof. Bottom lane though, Zac. Nintendude looking for ganks.
Oh, Smoothie with a late black shield, but doesn't land the knockup anyway, so who cares?
Throughout this series, Nintendude's ganks have been on point in the early game. It's just that transition late game and the decision-making of Fusion is being called into question. Nintendude, though, has been phenomenal the first 20, 25 minutes.
Absolutely has been. We're going to see how good his ganks are as it comes in a bit later onto this one.
Yeah, you get adapted to it, though. In a best of 3, going to the 3rd game, you realize Nintendude's going to want to make these moves, even on a tanky jungler, because he did it on Sejuani. And look at that, Kez. He's not going to go Cinderhulk. He's going to go for the Warrior Enchant.
Okay, Warrior Enchant Evelyn it is. Going to go for the AD ratios. Hope for some good damage coming out. Chunky Fresh continually getting poked out. He's going to have to recall here, and Seraph will not only get a 14 minion lead, but maybe a wave as well if he shoves this out. It's a good place to be when you're Seraph here. Again, a really big shining force of TDK, and he's putting on so far in this series. Everyone else holding very close to equal, so Seraph, the one big lane leader, Chunky Fresh, uses teleport to get top. Seraph would know this without a shadow of a doubt, and he can time that 10 minutes roughly until that Lulu TP comes back up.
See if they can use anything, get anything off that advantage, because he does have his ultimate.
Oof, that Glitter Lance. Yeah, I mean, you talked about being able to kind of hamper Seraph's engage. As you can see right there, Glitter Lance makes his life pain. Again, just I don't know if he needs to engage as far as his team comp is concerned. So
it looks like he just wants to wave clear and eventually buy, because Chunky Fresh got to back. He got that cheaper Chalice of Harmony and has that MR already stacked up. Chunky Fresh going to let him back. It's going to be the TP from Seraph to get back into lane. Bought the Haunting Guys to counter it. And gets a little more wards for his top.
That dude's going to get going. They don't know Kez is here, though. In comes the engage. Going to try to jump the wall. Gets over just in time. Saves the pink ward for now. The mid lane holding very equal, but Nintendo actually getting a little bit pushed around and under-farmed as well.
He's been trying to gank lanes.
Yeah.
They're trying to gank lanes, and the Evelyn Trailblazer is really good at clearing camps. It's just that first clear, like I said, is kind of rough, but then from there on, she's a terror. You don't know if she's farming, you don't know if she's in a lane. And now that people haven't played against Evelyn for a very long time, you got to go back to ward the camps. That's how you see her. And even then, she can just gank the lanes. This
could be an ulti here for Seraph, going for the kill onto Chunky Fresh. Ulti comes in and try to keep him alive. Of course, no ignite in the matchup.
He's going to get another stun?
Yeah, even if he does, it's diminishing return stun, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And it's going to be a survival. Both ultis used, but again, a health lead for Seraph, who rushed a Haunting Guys in this one. I actually don't love that build. I'd rather get Sork Shoes into a faster Zhonya's, just to complete the Zhonya's in time for a team fight that might come in. Blue buff to Huhi though, Nintendo helping with that one.
But the Haunting Guys gives him more lane pressure.
It does give him stats, I do realize that.
Seraph seems to play for the lane.
That's true, you're right. You're right, it's a style choice. I'm a bad laner, so I don't even care about that kind of stuff.
If he cared about team fights, he wouldn't be Bruiser Nidalee.
Good point. Kez on the flank, the level 6 flash engage for Smoothie. Trance is caught out here. A big double slow comes in.
His flash
but
still.
they stun Nian, but he just in time pops Trance back. The re-engage comes in, and they survive that one and actually get a lot of damage done.
Trance saved his flash. He had full faith that Nian was going to pull him in.
And that was such a good Fates call before the condemned stun landed. Smart by Louis GG to stun that target to try to block it out. Everyone played that so well.
Dude's looking for those opportunities though. But yeah, that fight bottom was really well played by everybody. Holding their summoner spells too. It was really just a flash for a flash when everything was all said and done. No superfluous exhausts, nothing that was unnecessary.
Speaking of unnecessary though, Chunky Fresh is getting assaulted by Seraph here. Shield is on, this is gonna be close!
Another?
One more Q, flashes, gets it! First blood, Seraph!
Gets the double stun. You said it is diminishing returns, but it was enough for that last auto. And he goes, I'm pretty sure he's almost 30 in offense in his mastery tree. He's going for the AD and the AP.
I mean, he's definitely pretty big. Only, it wouldn't be 630 in offense, only 4% armor magic pen, but looking pretty darn good overall. Yeah, only 2 points in it, so. But still plenty of attack damage, plenty of ability power, feeling pretty good on that cannon overall. Seraph, 19 minions up. And life is good for TDK fans right here. Bit of a gold lead, Chunky Fresh going for Athenes to try to survive the matchup, of course.
And they didn't go back to the Scion top. They went for the Lulu here, which Chunky Fresh,
I'm surprised at.
His performances on Lulu he's only had one, and he went 1-5 and 2. He's had 2, and they've both been losses. He went 1-5 and 2 and 3-4 and 9. It's his least successful champion in Challenger.
True.
And they went
Ruffle
for
was still up, right? Like, he could have played that.
They went for it to deny it from Kyle, because it was just really rough to play against last game for them.
Yeah.
They picked it very early on.
Well, be that as it may, they did want the Lulu. They wanted it here. Chunky Fresh feels like he's confident on this one.
But here's the thing with Kennons too, is Kennons have to get ahead early because they have really big spikes, but they're big spikes that have to be relative to their lane opponent. But look at this. Everybody's down in this bot lane right now.
And in comes the engage. A lot of burst, and Smoothie's gonna be a kill. I have to imagine it is, but now the re-engage Niantanso gets flashed on. Seraph's gonna kill him. But what is the re-engage going to be? It's a stun almost there onto Nintendo. One shuriken will do it. And no, he gets him splatted. Slowly but surely, they can kill the blobs off. Last one, there we go. Louis GG gets a red buff for his troubles. TDK up 3-1.
2 for 1 in that last exchange. And it was started by Fusion. The counter ganks on Nintendo. The fact that he has the double magic penetration build from Seraph, that's that early game spike from him. He's looking to shred squishies.
And it worked really, really, really well. And you're right, the Dark Frenzy change is in this patch. I forgot I'm not on jungler here. Yeah, TDK, now they have not lost a turret. Maybe top lane will go down here to Chunky Fresh, who stayed in lane. Chunky Fresh actually managed to get CS and lane pressure back because of that roam, but I gotta say, worth it. Dragon and a kill because of Seraph's pressure.
As long as he doesn't give up this turret, then it's definitely worth it for him.
Comes back just in time. Sork Shoes and Haunting Guys. Wow, really, really aggressive build.
He might lose this turret because he used his W. Yeah, he's gonna lose this turret. He's just gonna stay there.
Chunky Fresh has to be a little bit afraid though. The turret will go down, but no local gold given. Chunky Fresh though still could be the kill.
The W.
Dodge the Q. Binding dodge, but that is going to be the kill after all. Seraph gets another. Yeah, Magic Pen Cannon. A whole bunch of damage this early.
Really big spike there for him. Basically, the same build as a Rumble. As long as you get it very quickly, it's going to do a lot of work for you. Louis alone. Kez is a little far off.
Pops ult when the tumble. There's the tumble, which means it could be an easy stun. 3-man ult from Kez, but they target him first. That'll be a kill picked up. Now, will they chase Trance? Still has turret aggro. Niantanso can't do that much damage. Where's the condemn? Oh my god, they nearly kill Nian, and Intended with no passive has to run away. Flashes, his E was down.
He's just got to get out of there. They don't even pick up Louis. They get Kez, and they have to back off from it. Niantanso's low. He's going to give up a CS advantage in this lane.
Wow, and Seraph's going to get the turret right back from that kill. Chunky Fresh's teleport still down. And a quick, clean turret kill. So good job, Seraph, just to pressure the champion and say, if you go for this turret, you're going to lose your life and I'll get yours back. Right choice by Seraph. He is massive for TDK.
Seraph has a huge amount of kill participation as a top laner because he solo kills.
That's true.
He is 3-0-1.
And he's got really good TPs. Keep in mind,
yeah, his TPs are on point no matter what champion he's playing.
Like it's such a good point to talk about with Seraph, where even though he wasn't always, in this case he was getting kills, and that's a misplay by Chunky, but just the fact that Seraph forced Chunky to keep TPing to lane, Seraph could TP to the other lanes, right? Seraph was able to use his teleport to win a fight in the bot lane for the rest of his team. Again, part of the reason his KP is so high, because he's allowed to go around the map.
Yeah, that's true. His TPs, the fact that he's able to roam, get a big pressure lead on his lane opponent, and then he just gets free to roam. It's really, really great to watch. And the fact that he's pulled out this Kennen that he had a bad performance on, 1-3-1 against Fusion. And now he's kind of running away with the game, the early game. TDK, we said, their early game seems to pale in comparison to Fusion. Fusion usually gets a lane advantage. It's not happening this game.
It's really not, you're right. It's just very impressive that Seraph is doing that. The big bright spot for TDK. And the engage comes in top, and Nintendo's slowing him down, but there's just no damage you're going to deal here. No MR on these champions. And it's going to be very safe. Kez, so where he goes for Warrior Stun. Ooh, great flash by Niantanzo, sees it coming. Now, how well can they chase? Because there's a TP flank from Lulu. LuiGG has no really good out button, but a nice Dark Binding of Black Shield keeps him safe all the same. Seraph.
You're not safe, Nintendo.
He can ult for Nintendo pretty easily. He pops
W.
The Let's Bounce, but it gets us done anyway. Seraph can easily chase, but he popped Arm from out of range, and Chilling Spike keeps Nintendo safe. Misplay by Seraph, honestly.
Seraph wanted that so badly. Kez can position himself here for the engage. They see him, though, because of the ward. Yep.
Sweeps it.
Dead giveaway.
So to explain how that mechanic works, because I'm sure people are going to ask why they could see him without a pink ward there. Because he was inside the vision radius of a champion. Hold on, first with the fight in the bottom lane. Kez already here though. Hard engage, ulti onto
Louis.
Yeah, Luli's getting low, but he stunned
the
Niantanzo. He's gonna get the kill, and there's no rend coming out. No burst comes out. Chunky Fresh forced to run away, but here comes Xerath. Dodges one, dodges two, but not the third. But it's gonna be enough to disengage.
They got that exhaust onto Niantanzo at the right time. Louis had worn off right as the stun. They overcommitted for it. Smoothie's ultimate was able to stun him up at the perfect time. And then the follow-up condemn from Louis was just great to watch.
Follow-up was great. Going to be a 3,000 gold lead after this turret goes down. Smoothie gets a nice, easy recall and gets to start on his Zonias. Seeker's Arm Guard already gone. There's the turret down, 25.9 to 23. 3,000 gold as TDK are winning by every metric you can think of.
Yeah, and Seraph is very close to having that needlessly large rod. He was 150 gold off. A couple more waves, and the selling potion, using the potion. He will be very close to that Zonias.
That's going to be a lot of really good things. So maybe the beginnings of Randuin's Omen for Kez. Cloth Armor and a Ruby Crystal. Maybe. We'll see what it ends up actually being. Ninja Tabby in here as well. You can see he's clearly not scared of Nintendo's or Chunky Fresh's damage, and I think that's pretty smart overall. Red buff given to LuiGG early on. Notice that he's been lane swapped kind of towards his top side of the map. No one is bot lane whatsoever, actually.
Oh, Seraph.
Oh, Chunky Fresh, you have no turret.
Ooh.
Whimsy's out. Yep.
Seraph's such an aggressive player. And after seeing his stint in the LCS where he was playing things like Shyvana all the time and kind of forced onto those champions and off of his style, I think it's a great example of it's really counterintuitive to change something that's working for a player.
Yeah.
If they don't fit into the team in a certain style, then that player might not be the right player for that team. Right? If you want a passive top laner, don't try to take an aggressive top laner and make him a passive player.
Yeah.
Because his tendencies will continue to show.
Yeah. You can see that in teams like CLG, as you mentioned, Seraph there, where when they actually embrace the player style, like Zion Spartan comes in and is actually a good laner and they kind of rely on him to do well. CLG changes their style, and it actually worked quite well for them. Trans gonna look for the engage, doesn't quite find Kyle though.
TDK are doing Dragon during all of this stuff.
Yeah. They just keep getting more and more and more, and this is what I like about TDK is, well, I guess this is what's better about this game for TDK actually, is they were getting early Dragons every game no matter what, This time they're getting dragons with map control, so they're not giving away turrets for these dragons.
They have so much control now because of this spike from Seraph. He has the Zhonya's Hourglass. They can turret dive. They can force objectives. Seraph has such an aggressive playstyle. He's going to start walking up past this turret, forcing the issue. Kez finds intent.
And it's Zach getting counter-jungled by Evelyn here. Out he goes. Tier 2 still under fire. He split pushes the bot lane, but it's still a 4v5. That's not easy for Fusion to win. The poke's still coming through.
Going in.
Seraph goes in, and they just explode everybody. That's going to be a dead Kalista, a dead Leona as well. And the poke on the backside. This turret's not going to be defended for long.
Kennen, that champion, is an absolute monster if you get ahead. And Chunky Fresh can't handle it. He's so far behind.
3 kills picked up cleanly there. Bot lane adder goes down. Bot lane tier 2 still under fire, but it's going to be mid tier 2 going down just the same. So TDK at worst trades turrets equally, but actually it's better. They get a tier 2 that's not answered back, and they're still going. 3 are still dead from Fusion. No one's defending the inhibitor turret at all in TDK.
4-on-1's the best possible scenario here for Fusion. They get a turret for TDK, and they crack the base at 19 minutes.
Wow.
Fusion aren't even getting to that 20-minute, 25-minute point.
Wow, this series just slipping away fast.
This is risky. This is really risky.
Looks for Smoothie of all people, but gets bound to the backside. Black Shield's on. Engage comes and picks one back up. Exhausted Luigi G forcing the flash out. Chunky Fresh once more. Good condemn, good disengage by Kyle, but Fusion can maybe pick up a bit more in the backside. The minion wave not far away. The health bar's pretty low by TDK.
Yeah, they're going to try to just get vision control over this side of the map. Go for some type of aggressive play with Smoothie down. And they know Seraph's ulti's down too.
Yeah, they do, but guess what? The wave clear is still pretty good. He just uses his body as a battering ram. Knocks the minions down to half. Kyle follows up, and TDK stays safe.
Seraph here with the aggressive play. As soon as they know that they can get this engagement, the damage there, just all of that damage from the Kennen. I talked about, he doesn't even have to blow his Zhonyas. He tanks the turret the entire time. He still has his Zhonyas up at this point. But I talked about Kennen's need to be up in terms of over their lane opponent and relative power spikes. When a Kennen gets behind, they feel useless. But when a Kennen is ahead, they are so effective in team fights.
Yeah.
It's just multiplicative in terms of the difference between a Kennen that's slightly underfarmed and a Kennen that's slightly overfarmed. It's really strange how that gap is so big.
Well, it's an item-dependent champion.
Yeah.
And the thing is, underfarmed Kennen does have some utility.
It's like an item dependency over your opponent. It's not like I hit Zhonya's and I'm fine.
Well, it's because he's like kind of a burst mage, right? So there is a baseline utility to Kennen in that he can throw Qs and poke, he can land stuns, his team fight's pretty darn good. And when you hit that 3,000 item threshold of finishing a Zhonya's, you have some team fight power. But the thing is, Kennen is an AP scaling burst mage essentially, where it's kind of a, you do your damage all at once, then you stop. So unless your burst is meaningful, you're not kind of doing the second half what your champion wants to do. And yes, Seraph doing really well, getting those items, having a bunch of magic pen as well just to accelerate those damage values. Means he gets to blow people up.
Oh, they have the ultimate ready again. They're going to start forcing under this turret. Seraph with the black shield.
He's going to go right on in. Smoothie's in a bad spot right here, but he's going to go down to the turret, but all the same. Maybe he's going to get a couple of kills back. Kez getting stunned up, and no, looks like Fusion are going to survive that burst and counter a 2-for-0.
And they get that bottom turret. Huhi is continuing to push. Nobody's there to deal with him yet, so the split push from Huhi. I talked about how this guy loves to split push. It is his natural tendency as a player to want to split off, and they're putting it to good use right now.
And it's smart by Huhi. What's he going to do against a Vayne, who again wins the 1v1, against a massive AoE, essentially burst mage, and Seraph is going to lock him down. Huhi has to split. He stays on the side. He's trying to do his best Seraph impression in this game and hope that the rest of his team can hold on. That fight was a 2-for-1, and they
trade turrets.
They did trade that turret to go down after all, but that's the first good thing Fusion's had all game.
Yeah, and it's really Huhi. He's just split pushing on that Zed, whereas Seraph is the person who needs to be in these team fights. He's not on that split pusher. The Kennen against the Zed.
No, Kennen can win that for sure.
Kennen can win that, but Zed does have outplay potential.
I would say it's almost more on Kennen, because Kennen can just be like, Deathmark's gonna pop, Zhonya's that crap.
Yep.
And like, Zed goes in on you, you are and walk towards his shadow. You're gonna get the 3 procs of the ulti, he can't get away from you. You actually get to chunk Zed to like 1/2, and you notice that Zed is gone for the Hex Drinker already to prepare for that.
No, he doesn't even have boots. He's going to get chased down very easily. There's no way he wins that now.
Right. So a lot of risks here, and of course, all the global gold coming in for TDK. They're up 4,500. This is what you're looking at, right? You're looking
so slow, too.
Sure, but can you get the outplays? Randuin's Omen and Ninja Tabby close to done for Kez.
He's got QSS on Louis GG.
Yeah, I don't
Kez
think
is
he
off
has
on
the
the side,
damage.
but it's going to take him a bit. He talked about how Vayne can outplay his Zed. We'll see if he can get
wow. Ulti's in, but Deathmark wasn't used. Not good for Louis. QSS is it. Could he have the damage? And I think the answer is actually yes. Whew. Kez doesn't need to do anything for this one. Louis GG stays alive.
The lifesteal off the minions to get him through it.
So yeah, that's the thing is it's very easy for Vayne to win. I actually want to point out a big misplay though. You have no reason to QSS Deathmark at the start. Hemoplague is a damage amp. You QSS that early to not have the damage amp. Deathmark does nothing until it pops, so save it for removing Ignite as well. You have actually no reason to QSS for the first 4 seconds. Wait till a Ruin King slows you. Wait till an Ignite is on you. Then pop that. I never see any AD carries do this, but that's the right way to play QSS against Zed.
It looked like he was just trying to get as many things off as possible because he was trying to tumble to make it to the other side of Zed so he could condemn him into the wall.
Sure, and I
but
mean,
he
that's
wasn't able
smart
to accomplish that.
Yeah, I didn't play the condemn, but just outstatted him. And that is partially the fact that he was 4-0 before that fight even happened. Yep. Item leads definitely matter here. Phantom Dancer, Ruin King, part of the reason he won.
Yeah, he also had no Yomu's complete on who he just got.
Yeah.
He'd been sitting that bush for a very long time. He was just accumulating gold and hadn't backed.
Well, very close, that fight all the same, so you gotta wonder what round 2 is gonna be like. Louis GG smited away by Nintendude. Will get his own red buff.
TDK are not only just up in gold, they're at 3 dragons. 4th dragon starts getting the potential fights that people have to get in choke points for Seraph to deal with them. And speaking of choke points,
flashing for Seraph, Thompson down to half health, but he stays alive because no one else has follow-up. Kez goes down. Is this the team fight that brings Fusion back in? Huhi goes in onto, no, he goes back, I take it back. Oh wow,
Louis really
dropped
big.
in and Nintendude gets done. You're right, Louis GG is massive and gets the 2 kills for his team because of it. Team fight win for TDK.
TDK are all on the same page in terms of aggression. Seraph's going to go in, he's going to start these fights with a flash and just get 2 people. But as they kite backwards, they get another good exchange, 2 for 1. They keep getting 2 for 1s over and over again, and that makes the score 12-6.
Yeah, and the turrets keep going down. TDK also about 2 for 1 in terms of turret score, 7-3 here.
Oh, that's a whoa.
It's Magic Pen Cannon with a lot of ability power. He's 14 now. I mean, this is a scary champion to deal with.
Oh, he's got red buff.
Blue trinkets up, he can spot him. Doesn't need to, of course, awards there, and Huhi is going to die.
No boots. He doesn't even have brown bags on his feet. Huhi has no boots.
Boots or not, I think he still would have died there without a maybe a shadow slow coming in.
He finally has just tier 1 boots, but the fact that he didn't even have them to traverse the area to get up to the mid and then run away afterwards is a big misplay. But Louis GG just comes into these fights. His target swapping is fine. The fact that he's playing these Vaynes and he's able to stay out of arm's reach and play that tumble game is really good to see. Because right now in the hyper tank meta, the hyper carries need to stay safe.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a front line. We talked about it at the start. He's got to be self-sufficient with his Vayne tumbles.
Yeah.
And he's doing a good job of that. He's 7-0-2. A player that we kind of regarded as the weakest AD carry. In playoffs, because he has not had carry performances. It's
not had a good season.
It's all Seraph for the most part. Sometimes we see Kyle step up and carry a game. Kez controls the vision, and then Louis GG and Smoothie have a rough laning phase more often than not.
Yep.
This game, they're crushing.
They absolutely are. It's been good to see TDK getting some marked improvement here, I got to say, in the playoffs. And now, with the team fight power here, 2 big mages in a Vayne that can't be ignored. It's hard for Fusion to navigate these team fights. I think it's still a matter of allocating resources, though. There's still no Zhonya's yet onto Kyle. We've seen Huhi yet to ult him in fights here. There's a mobile mid laner that can, I think, be dealt with. We're seeing that Thompson's not dying the cannon. Seraph is like really not getting kills in team fights anymore. And I think if Fusion fights the battles correctly, if they can delete Xerath, kite back the cannon, and then re-engage off of this life-stealing Niantansu with the QSS, life gets a lot better for them.
They got to do it very quickly, though, because Kyle has barrier. It's hard for Huhi to burst him down, but he's about to get his Zhonya's very shortly. So these windows are slowly closing. Zed scales great into the late game, but there are items that counter him.
Yeah, there are. And you're seeing the breakdown of this. The poke keeps coming through. No engage is happening for Fusion, and now their front line's down below half health. It means they seed the inhibitor, and now it's going to be 5 minutes of pressure for TDK taking that inhib down.
Walk up, they have this gigantic wave in the top lane, and they're going to sweep on their way to the Baron. it might be a setup here to possibly take this objective because everybody's healthy, and as you see somebody approach as Kennen, you can run into that choke point and throw down the Slicing Maelstrom. Seraph actually looked like he was attacking the Baron. Yeah, they attacked the Baron there to draw them in. That's Scrying Orb down from Niantanso. He can't check this. There's no way they can check this anymore. They have dead vision.
Face checks aplenty then for Niantanso and the rest of Fusion. They're going to run in and see Kyle in the front lines. That actually is a good thing for Fusion. They stun him. They pop the ults down. In they go. But there's a Seraph counter engage. Who's got the damage output? Looks like the answer is TDK. 1 kill already. Kez kites towards the back and stays alive. Niantanso, though, getting jumped on, and he can't do anything about this. Quick kill for Seraph. That is going to be a 4-for-1 in front of Baron.
There's so much on Nian's shoulders, and he just can't carry it right now. Louis GG had a great game. And Chunky Fresh is the sole surviving member. They're going to shove up the mid. This might be game.
This could be game right now, and TDK could be heading into the Challenger Finals for Spring 2015 here in North America. The second seed making it look that way after all. And there we go. Nexus turret number 1, number 2 under fire right afterwards. I don't think there's enough respawns here. This is going to be it, and a quick one at that. 29.5 minutes in. TDK with the comeback win in games and in series are heading to the finals.
The in-person finals next week for TDK.
Yeah.
The higher-seeded team picking red side. They came in with a strat, and Seraph was able to execute perfectly that game. Dominated his lane, transitioned into team fights. He had a death cap before those final fights, and you saw it there. He even got exhausted, and he was still a huge menace on the game. That's basically what Seraph was throughout this series. He was a menace on Fusion.
A absolutely huge menace, and I gotta say, the adaptations by TDK were very good. Game 1, pick a poke comp, no disengage. Oh god, life is miserable.
They don't seem to like hard engage. They seem to like counter engage.
I mean, when they picked up Kennen, it worked out for them, though, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the formula seems to be working. The great laning phases finally came out this time around, and it was really good to see that TDK seemed to grow so well throughout the series. Did a great job at the end of that best of 3. I still can't believe they had that comeback in game 2.
Seraph basically had the damage of Zed, Zac, and Callista combined.
Ouch. Yeah. Seraph did pretty well. Overall, I gotta say, TDK looking absolutely amazing as a team. And now, joining us to talk about that victory is TDK support Smoothie. Man, congrats on that win.
Hey, thanks.
And welcome back.
Thank you.
So talk to me about this series then. Game 1, honestly not very pretty. Game 2, you guys nearly lost that one as well. What were you trying to orchestrate to get back in that second game?
In game 1, I think we forgot about this Rumble pick. We know Chunky played lots of Aurelia, but we didn't respect the Rumble pick, and we just paid for it. And Zerath, which wasn't a good pick into Urgot because he needs to swap really easily and just die. So yeah, just pick and ban phase issues in the first game.
And following up on that, you guys then adapted. You banned the Urgot the next game. And do you guys have somebody who helps you through pick and bans? Do you have a coach? Do you have a support staff? Or are you guys doing that yourself?
I'm currently not living in the house right now, but apparently we're just doing it as 5 players, as using our knowledge as solo queue players at the moment. But yeah, besides that, I have no real clue.
I guess you are still kind of the guy on the outside looking in, the non-Korean speaker here. But
yeah.
I want to talk to you about the match you're going to have next week, because tomorrow night, Enemy Esports and Final 5 face off. How do you feel about that semifinal match? And then how would you match up against the winner?
For now, I'm expecting I'm thinking Enemy's gonna win that game, but things can happen. The first week with Final 5, they're a pretty new roster, right? So I can't really tell what to expect from those games. But now that they have more times for scrims and to prepare, I think they might be pretty strong. So we'll see what happens from here.
And you talked about time for scrims. I want to ask you about your own team there, because we didn't see a lot of your guys last week. Have you guys still been keeping up with scrims, and were you expecting this result today if you didn't have as much time as you would hope?
Yeah, for the last week, since everyone was gone, we didn't really have a lot of scrim times. We actually only had 2 days worth of scrims prior to this game, so it was pretty scary for to play these games with just so little time to practice. But it worked out in the end. We just need to work on a pick and bans phase.
And thankfully, it's a best of 3 for you guys, so
yeah,
you're able to adapt. There's really nice pivoting there.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck next week in the finals. We get to see you guys in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. So after today's matchup, let's see how the bracket shapes up. TDK, of course, they've advanced to the finals live in the LCS stage in Los Angeles on April 8th. Meanwhile, with the loss, Fusion will compete for 3rd place on April 7th.
And remember, 3rd still gets to compete for a spot in the LCS at the Summer Promotion Tournament. So all is not lost for Fusion. Tomorrow, their opponent will be decided when the semifinals conclude with Enemy Esports against Final 5.
And of course, there is more Challenger and LCS action on the way tomorrow. The European Challenger Series semifinals continue at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time as Origin take on Reason Gaming.
Then the annual Invitational gets underway at 3 p.m. as Ye Olde League organization takes on the Society of Worth Assessing Gentlemen. And of course, we'll join you for the NA Challenger semifinals at 6 p.m. to close out the day.
And with that, we've reached the end of our time together tonight. But for now, I'm going to say for myself, Zirene, and the rest of the live broadcast crew, thanks for watching. Good night. GG.
I loved that song earlier. See you later, guys.
Later, Gator. Comes the engage, a lot of versus. Smooth is gonna be a kill, I have to imagine it is, but now the re-engage, the Intanso gets flashed on, Seraph's gonna kill him.
Going in.
Seraph goes in, and they just explode everybody. That's gonna be a dead Kalista, a dead Leona as well. Oh, wow. Ulti's in, but Deathmark wasn't used. Not good for Louis. QS has it. Could he have the damage? I think the answer is actually yes. 1 kill already. Kez kites towards the back and stays alive. The Intanso, though, getting jumped on, and he can't do anything about this.